Iran, in the middle of the Middle East and in the middle of the Cold War. Iran's eventful history, changing every decade or two during the Cold War, began when the Cold War itself began. The British and Soviets had invaded Iran in 1941, in the middle of World War II, to secure oil and supply lines to be used against Nazi Germany. The British left Iran when the war ended, but the Soviets remained. Although not commonly discussed in Cold War subtopics, it caused one of the first standoffs of the Cold War. In 1946, Soviet troops were stationed in northern Iran, supporting the creation of the republics of Kurdistan and Azerbaijan, following a Soviet model. Nevertheless, they withdrew in May 1946 after diplomatic threats. Then, a new decade and a new chapter. In early 1951, the Parliament of Iran nationalized the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, led largely by Mohammad Mosaddegh, who became the Prime Minister of Iran a month later. This is one of the ways to sow for a coup, though, and 2 years later he was overthrown with CIA and British intelligence help, and the Iranian monarch, the Shah, was reinstalled. The Shah became a key US ally during this time, perched on the Soviet Union's southern border. For a quarter of a century, this relationship grew and grew. The Shah shaped the country in his image with what he called the White Revolution. But his increasing reliance on authoritarian ways and secret police, not to mention his close ties to Washington, grew to alienate many religious leaders and some of the working class. Then, in 1979, protests against the Shah flashed across news screens the world over. This allowed for Ayatollah Khomeini, exiled by the Shah as a dangerous element, to return to Iran, and the Islamic Revolution ousted the Shah, forming the Islamic Republic. In the turmoil just months later, Iranian students stormed and took hold of the US Embassy in Tehran, one of the defining moments of the Cold War. They held 52 Americans hostage for a total of 444 days. One more decade, one more new chapter. The 1980s brought the Iran-Iraq War, the longest continual war of the 20th century. The US generally tilted towards diplomatic and economic support towards Saddam Hussein, but nevertheless secretly sold arms to Iran to secure the release of American hostages in Lebanon, causing the Iran-Contra scandal. Iran, over just half a century, was a key piece in the story of the Cold War. Although the Cold War ended, or if you like to think evolved, deep scars from yesteryear still affect the US-Iran relations of today.